Oh, man, college football live. Chris Cotter, Emmanuel Acho, and Jonathan Vilma. The weeks keep growing in importance and intensity, and conferences keep taking playoff hits like body blows. Heck, the Big Ten took a hit, guys, on Tuesday, and nobody even took the field. It was when Nick Bosa declared for the NFL, saying he's not coming back to help the Buckeyes get back to the playoffs. Ach, what does this say, taking a bigger picture approach about college football right now?
You know, it's really interesting, Cotter, because you have a guy that still has several games left, potentially a Big Ten championship game, potentially a college football playoff berth, and maybe even a national championship, deciding to forego all of this for his draft stock. I get it. What I question is, what would have caused them to stay? Would it have been paying the players? Would it have been, maybe a more sure thing at winning the college football playoff because Alabama has looked very, very good? I'm not sure, but it definitely brings into question players leaving early all over again.
Well, Acho, I'm going to take it a step further and say this is the start of something bigger for these players. You're going to now see, forget injured players, non-injured players. If you ball out your freshman year, you ball out your sophomore year, you sit out your junior year and get ready for the NFL. And the reason why is because the college football landscape and the NFL, they need to wake up. They need to get out of the 1960s and catch up with the times. They need to repeat or replicate what the MLB has done, having a minor league system, because guys, frankly, don't value education, and you can't force them to. So you go and let them go play in the minor league system, or if they sign with a team in college, they have to be there for 3 years, just like baseball does. You can solve a lot of issues, and a lot of guys that either want to play or get an education or do both.
My man Jonathan Vilma is preaching right now. You're exactly right, and I think that's the first time I've ever said it, and we'll probably ever say it again. So, enjoy it, Jonathan. But more importantly, you hit the nail on the head. People overestimate just how much college players want to win this national championship. Remember, when you're comparing a potential championship, which isn't guaranteed, to millions of dollars in Bosa, which is for the most part guaranteed, you have to side with the millions. The NFL career is short. The NFL opportunity is short. To risk that to maybe make the playoffs, to risk that to have to go up against Tua and Saban and Alabama, it's just not worth it. So I totally get what Bosa's doing. I ain't got no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't think many people will blame Bosa for taking the route that he's taking, as he didn't blame Christian McCaffrey for sitting out the bowl game, Leonard Fournette. There was talk with Jadeveon Clowney back in the day, too.
Yeah, but Chris, this is what happens, though. You have some of the media or people in the media that say, oh, he should be loyal to his team. He's quitting on his team. And they make it and have such a negative connotation when that's not the case. They shouldn't do that at all. They should be worrying about the NFL and why they're getting a free minor league system from college football.
Hey, Vilma, if you were one of his teammates at Ohio State right now, would you be upset at Bosa for going to the NFL and for going and making sure he gets that payday?
I would not. If Bosa has made it very clear from his true freshman year up till now that he's there to go to the NFL, then do what you got to do. You've been a great teammate. You played hard as hell. You're giving us everything we've asked for. Yeah. I'm A-okay with it.
Hey, Vilma, we were hearing Acho talk about the possibility of, Ohio State not making the playoff, that it's not like a fait accompli, if you will. How does this team now look at Purdue on Saturday? That's not an easy game at Purdue anymore. That's a pretty tough Boilermaker team, and it's an Ohio State defense that hadn't looked great over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you're right. And Purdue has won 3 in a row, and their offense looks really good. I'm excited to see the matchup between Purdue's tight ends, Purdue's running backs, versus Ohio State's linebackers in secondary, because, frankly, when you get past Ohio State's front four, which is really, really good, top 2 or 3 in the nation, they become average. And I've seen Purdue really stretch the field with their tight ends and running backs now. So it's going to be a really, really close game, exciting to watch, especially that matchup.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Purdue has put up over 40 points in the last 2 games. They can score points. If you've watched Ohio State the last several weeks, they've given up a lot of points early and have not looked great in the first half. Remember, if you give a team that you should beat confidence, that is what allows them to play with you. Ohio State hasn't been able to put teams away early, but Purdue is not going to go away early. They might not go away at all. Going to be a heck of a matchup, and Ohio State's going to have to bring it all day, all 4 quarters.
That's a primetime game on ABC. Well, you know who has looked good recently? It's Michigan. You know, they got the test at Northwestern, but they passed a big test last week against Wisconsin. And when you look at Jim Harbaugh, you know, that was a nice feather in his cap because he hasn't done well against Michigan State, Penn State, and Ohio State. We know about that, the record being 3-6 in his 9 games against those 3 teams. Now he has an opportunity. Last week, you add a little bit of shine onto it with that win against Wisconsin, but now things get real, Lodge. Now you got to go into East Lansing, and you got to beat a Michigan State team who also played pretty well last weekend and getting the win at Penn State. You got to beat them. Is this a necessary win for Harbaugh? Does he finally have to start beating these teams, beginning with Michigan State, to get that monkey off his back?
You better believe he does, Cotter. There's a saying in football, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. JV, I know you know the saying. Well, guess what? The saying should be applicable to coaches as well. I get it. Harbaugh won some big games, and they dismantled Wisconsin last week. Applause. Beat Maryland. Beat Northwestern. Applause, applause. Well, Harbaugh, it's time for him to show up, time for him to earn his paycheck, because against the Penn States, the Ohio States, and this week against Michigan State, this is when coaches become coaching legends and not just overpaid guys.
Yeah, Acho, you couldn't be more right, man. This is a game that is going to give validity to why he gets paid so much. Because I'm still trying to figure out, why'd you pay him all this money? You brought him in to beat Ohio State. That's what you were supposed to do. He hasn't done that yet. So I need to see the reason why they paid all the big bucks and are supporting him hand and foot all the way through. He's got to win this game.
Yeah, and this obviously keeps Michigan in the playoff conversation if Michigan can get the win. Time for this week's Wendy's Fresh Look. And here are the chances of each conference has of sending teams to the college football playoff. That's according to the ESPN playoff predictor. Of note, the predictor gives the SEC a better chance of getting multiple teams in, although I seriously think that took a hit with Georgia's loss last week, than it has of the Big 12 of even getting one team in. With that said, and as we look at the Big Ten here, Ach, is there any chance at all that both Michigan and Ohio State can play their way into the playoff down the road?
Cotter, I gotta say no chance. Not because those 2 teams might not be the best 4 teams in college football at the end of the day, but if you look at scheduling, they play each other and they play each other so late that it will be hard to recover. It's a rivalry game, so the game will probably be close, but Michigan already has a blunder on their schedule in losing to Notre Dame, so they'll have one loss. Even if Notre Dame ends up with one loss, Notre Dame will still say we have the tiebreaker. I think there's no chance. Hopefully one of those 2 teams, if you're a Big Ten fan, make it in.
I agree, Acho, and I honestly don't know what's going on today and why we agree so much. I'm going to take the tie off at a commercial break. I don't like it. But I do agree with you, though. There's no chance that both teams get in. Maybe if Michigan were undefeated and they were going into that last week matchup, something like that could have happened. But outside of that, no chance.
You know, Michigan is only 2-8 in their last 10 meetings against Michigan State. That's hard to believe. You know, and the games have been close, especially lately, but it has not gone Michigan's way. So if they want to stay in this playoff conversation, to you guys' points, they can't do it with 2 losses. They got to beat Michigan State on Saturday, and looking forward to that game in Columbus at the end of the year. All right, when we come back, I don't think we'd be talking about Finley and Lawrence as a matchup that we all look forward to seeing here this year in terms of a big game in the ACC, but that's the case on Saturday. So it'll be fun to watch. Undefeated teams, Clemson and NC State coming up.
College Football Live is presented by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. And in part by Principal Dr. Pepper.
Huge game in the ACC Saturday afternoon, 3:30 on ESPN and also on that ESPN app. It's NC State and Clemson from Death Valley, and that is our Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. Not only the ACC Atlantic being in play, but really a huge game as far as the college football playoff in the ACC is concerned, especially now that Vilma's Canes have done their annual fadeaway. It's really down to NC State and Clemson.
Oh, wow.
Clemson's won 13 of 14 in this series, too, so it's been very one-sided, guys. It's time for 4 downs and first down. All right, Vilma, I'll start with you, then a chance for a rebuttal of sorts. NC State, if they win in Clemson on Saturday, are they in the playoff at the end of the year?
North Carolina State wins, they are in the playoffs. There is nobody on the schedule after Clemson that threatens them. Nobody on the Coastal side who they will play against in the ACC championship game will threaten them. Finley can handle his business. The key is Ryan Finley, senior quarterback. All he needs is a little bit of time. He's seen Clemson's defense many times over. He knows where to go with the football. If they win, they're in the playoffs.
I got to disagree, and it brings me so much joy to do so. If they win, they're not in, only because, remember, so much is out of their control. You still got a team like Notre Dame. You have the Big Ten champ. You have the SEC champ or two in the loser of the SEC championship game. I can't say NC State's not in again, not because they are not a good team. NC State is actually a phenomenal team, and Ryan Finley's a phenomenal quarterback, but they won't get the benefit of the doubt.
Acho,
now
stop
ESPN's
it. They will be an undefeated team, undefeated ACC champion. They're in. Stop it. Stop it.
If they're undefeated and they're ACC champion, they're
The
in. Right now,
whistle blew.
the playoff predictor gives them a 1% chance to make it. That'll obviously go up if they beat Clemson on Saturday. All right, on to second down. You know, the folks at LSU must have given some etouffee or some kush to the schedule makers, right? Because all their tough games are at home, including this weekend against Mississippi State. Acho, are you buying LSU right now as a serious and a legitimate playoff team?
Cotter, I'm emptying my bank account to buy LSU. You have to buy LSU. What more do they have to prove to you, CC? They've played the toughest games thus far. They've won the toughest games thus far. And for the most part, they've done it handedly. If you're not buying LSU, it's probably because you got no money to do so, because LSU is the real deal.
Yeah, I'm buying LSU. I have money. I'm buying LSU. I like them. 3 top 10 wins. Only team to do that this season so far. You know, they have Alabama at home. They get through that. I mean, what more do you want? End of the year, look, a one-loss team is normal. End of the year, if they're a one-loss team, that means they won the SEC. That means they're in there. They are legit. They play good defense. They have good quarterback play. They can run the ball. They are legit.
Alabama at LSU, November 3rd. I gotta think game day is going to be there for that one. We know where game day is going to be this weekend in Pullman. Did you guys see the scene as we go to third down? Insane. A state of emergency has been declared in the Palouse for the scene. That's the bus. That's the game day bus arriving. So here's the question, Vilma. Coming off the huge game for Oregon last Saturday at home, now they travel to take on a dangerous Wazoo team on the road in that atmosphere. You think the atmosphere will get to the Ducks?
I don't think it'll get to the Ducks, but just like watching Acho put on his tight shirts, you got to watch for a letdown. It's like, ooh, you never know, right? They come off this big high with the big win, and then they go in, and it's like, do you know if they'll be up emotionally? I don't know. If they're not up for it, Washington's a one-loss team now. They can give them a lot of trouble. They have to be emotionally ready.
The only thing intelligent Vilma just said is that Washington's a one-loss team. They're one loss to USC by 3 points. So I don't know if it'll affect Oregon, but what we do know, Washington State is going to be up. Washington State is going to be ready. I played in a Leach-coached environment late night back when he was at Tech. I know he gets his guys fired up. Primetime game's going to be a big deal to them. It's going to be tough.
All right, we're going to move to fourth down now, fourth and short, and let's talk about Nebraska. Scott Frost still looking for that first win as the head coach of the Cornhuskers, and they're favored this week in Lincoln against Minnesota. Vilma, does Frost finally get his first win this weekend with the Huskers?
Yes. Yes, yes, Cotter. He's getting his win because I called it 2 weeks ago that he's getting this win. He's going to finally get his first victory. They're favored because I said it. I'm the reason that the line moved. They're going to get their win. You hear it right now. You're watching me. That's what's happening. Get their first W.
Here's the thing, Cotter. I don't know. I can't make you any promises. All I can say is I hope they get their first win. I'm not necessarily a Nebraska fan, but I am a fan of Scott Frost, and I do like that program, what they stand for. I almost feel bad watching them lose nowadays. It's like you're pulling for them, then late everything crumbles.
Yeah.
I hope they get their first win.
Acho,
Minnesota's won
wait
their
a minute.
fair share.
Acho, are they going to win or not? Don't give us these little sissy answers. Are they going to win or not, Acho?
Good point.
Because
Good point.
Vilma said so, I'm saying they won't.
They won't. Oh, Minnesota and the Gophers go in, and another heartbreak for Scott Frost and the Cornhuskers. All right, when we come back here, Tua, he may be at the top of the line in terms of the Heisman class, but should Coach Saban give him a rest this week to mend some sore bones before LSU in a couple weeks? We'll talk about that next. Time for a Heisman update brought to you by Nissan. According to ESPN experts, quarterbacks hold the top 3 spots. Tua, Haskins, and Kyler, then 4 and 5, belong to players from the American. Houston defensive tackle Ed Oliver and Memphis running back Darrell Henderson. What? Now, nothing against Henderson. He's having a huge year. I mean, his numbers are pretty ridiculous. But, guys, if Henderson's number 5 on this list and Ed Oliver isn't winning it as a defensive tackle, no matter how great a year he's having, it's a 3-horse race. Given that, Ach, if you're Saban, do you sit Tua, though, this week at Tennessee? Because then you got a bye week before LSU, and you get 3 weeks for him to heal.
Cotter, I buy a recline chair. I put the recline chair on the sideline. I sit the recline chair back, and I sit Tua in the recline chair. I get him a massage therapist, and I give him the massage during the game. I get him some ice in case he needs some ice, and I make sure my guy Tua is nice and comfortable because I'm going to beat Tennessee with or without Tua most likely, unless Jeremy Pruitt pulls something out of his hat that we haven't seen before. So with that being said, if you haven't heard my answer yet, yes, I sit Tua.
Nope. Play the man. I play the man because he's good. Not only good, he's great. Why would you not have one of your best players out there? If he's in practice and can go through all the reps and the trainers are saying he's good to go, then play him. Why are we going to sit here and wait just because, I don't know if something's wrong? No, if he practices and Saban sees him practicing and there's no drop-off, then he's good to go and you play him.
You know what I've learned in life? Jonathan Vilma is good and accomplished at a lot of things. A phenomenal NFL player, phenomenal college player. There's a great reason he's not a head coach. Tua got hurt non-contact last week. That means it didn't take a defender hitting him to re-aggravate his injury. If you play him, there's a chance he gets hurt again without contact. Again, Vilma, I give you your praise when it's due. But right now, not only are you wrong, you're very, very wrong.
You know what? I love the fact that Acho will start his points almost without fault with taking a shot at Vilma first before getting his point in. You know, Vilma, Alabama, now that Bryant is transferring from Clemson and you've got some other injuries around the country, is Bama really the only team that could still win the national championship without their number 1 quarterback? If they had to go with Hurts the rest of the way, are they still a championship caliber team?
They still are a championship caliber team. Remember, they got to the championship and won one with Hurts. So he's definitely able to lead that team to the championship. No other team outside of Alabama can do it, whether it's because of quarterback play or the defense isn't good enough. I'm thinking about Notre Dame. If Wimbush were to come back in, outside of that, it's just Alabama. That's it.
I will say Clemson as the other team that can do it without their starter. We've seen what Clemson had to do without their starter against Syracuse, and we know that Clemson's defense is good enough. And beyond that, Clemson has the easiest road to the playoff. Anything can happen once you're there.
We'll see about that against NC State on Saturday. All right, time for a little 3 and out. Athens, Ohio. You know Ohio University is in Athens, Ohio. You know who's from Athens, Ohio? Joe Burrow went to Athens High School. So the Walmart there, which is a big deal in Athens, is selling LSU gear. Look how nice that looks, Vilma. Get you some of that booger. Be proud.
No, it looks horrible. It makes me want to throw up. And I hope Booger is watching because that is ugly. I love that they're celebrating and supporting Burrow. Yuck, yuck, ew.
What do you think, guys? Trade some of the burnt orange for that?
Look, I respect LSU. I like the colors. I'm with it. I would rock it. It's stylish. It's a little fashionable.
All right, our old friend, my guy, Butch Jones, is back at Tennessee. He's on Nick Saban's staff, and he's going back to take on his own team, the Vols. Hey, Ach, what do you think about Nick Saban? You got to tip your cap to him for hiring some of these old head coaches and giving them opportunities to get a job at the next opportunity.
Cotter, Saban will do whatever Saban has to do to win the game. So a little more intel will never hurt. I tip my hat to Saban. Well done. Smart play.
I love it. I love that he is so secure in himself that he can evolve and get these other coaches on board until he doesn't need them anymore.
Well, speaking of former Saban assistants, Lane Kiffin has made an offer to 11-year-old Cole Leinart. Yeah, Matt Leinart's kid. Matt Leinart's kid is already getting college scholarship offers. How old are we getting here, Ach?
I love it. I mean, if you got the juice, Cotter, you got the juice. 11, 12, 13, 17, it really doesn't matter. If you can sling it, you can sling it.
No. He can only do this because he's at FAU. This is ridiculous. I don't care what juice you got. You got sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school that got more juice than him at 11 years old.
How
Stop
about
it.
a throwback Thursday?
Stuff like that, Acho.
What about Sills? Offered at
here's
13,
Sills.
he panned out.
Yeah, well,
he panned out. He offered him as a quarterback. He didn't offer him as a wide receiver, and then he got switched to wide receiver. So, no, he didn't pan
athletes
out.
are athletes.
Wrong.
Athletes are athletes, man. You offer them, you get them onto the team. If you got to switch positions, you switch positions. Sills has worked out. I'm with Acho on that one. We'll see you guys tomorrow.